Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy Flix here. In today's video, we're going to be going over some basic kind of introduction level editing tips and tricks. Now, if before you click off the video, if you are someone who thinks they're fairly decent at editing, and if you have the time, you might want to stay tuned. I might talk about something you don't know, and it could improve your gameplay. But if you don't want to be bothered, you don't have the time, check back in a little bit, because I am doing a series on this, and each video is going to be increasingly more advanced. So at some point, I might catch up to your skill level, maybe, depending on how good you are. I'm not saying I'm better than you. Don't take this personal. But if I am better than you, or I know more about editing than you, or I've been playing longer than you, for whatever reason, maybe I am not better than you and I know something you don't, I'll probably get to a point that will suit your needs. So if you want to be subscribed, I'll let you know when those videos come out. Otherwise, just check back in about a week, and I'll have about 3 other videos uploaded, because I'm going to upload about every other day. So just check back, and you never know, maybe you learn something, or stick around, you might learn something in this one, who knows. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, basically what is going to make you a better editor. It's about 90% muscle memory, about, I want to say, like 8% positioning, which might sound weird to you, but I'll go over that later. It is very important, your positioning, when you're editing. You might not understand what I'm saying, but just stay tuned and I'll explain it. And your very last thing is ping. And there's other factors, but they're very small. So let's talk about ping first, because it's like the smallest problem. Before Fortnite came out with an update to where your edits were like, so to select an edit, it's instant. Before it wasn't. So ping doesn't play as big a role as it used to. But after you select the edit and you click confirm, there is a delay. So there's a delay for the confirm to the actual edit going through, is relying on your ping. But it's really not that big a deal. I mean, I have 50 ping, which is pretty high, and in game I usually have about 70, and I'm still able to edit pretty decent. So just don't get discouraged if you have high ping, basically, is what I'm saying. Now let's talk about muscle memory. Basically, editing is muscle memory. So of course you can do it visually, but it's gonna be slower. If you want to just, walk up to a wall and instantly know what you're gonna do, I mean, personally, my eyes didn't tell me what to do. That was all muscle memory. I didn't see, okay, I went from this block, now I need to go to this block, now I need to go to this block. You want to be able to just know, I mean, I'm not saying I'm the greatest editor by any means, but I know enough about it. I've watched multiple streamers who are better than me. I've heard their opinions on it. I've been a big fan of Symphony. Everyone knows he's a great editor. I've listened to him talk about it. I don't know if you know who Raider is, but I'm actually on his map right now. He's probably one of the best editors, if not the best editor in the game. He's talked about it. Basically, you ask any of the greatest Fortnite players and they will tell you that editing is all muscle memory. And I've learned a lot from watching them, and hopefully I can pass it down to you guys. I've also learned a lot from just playing, so you know, if you watch streamers and stuff like that, maybe you can learn something just from me. So hopefully this will teach you something. If it does, go ahead and drop a like or let me know in the comments. And if you have any tips for anyone, go ahead and comment that. You know, I'm just trying to improve the newer Fortnite players, or maybe players that kind of haven't really focused on their editing too much, and they've perfected their shot, you know, they've perfected their aim and their building, and now they want to move on to their editing, which personally, I was kind of backwards with Fortnite. I started out learning how to build, then I learned how to edit, and I'm still working on trying to aim. I'll be honest, I have pretty terrible aim, so get into a little bit of tips and, well, more or less settings that you might want to utilize. So the first one I'd recommend, go into your settings. It's going to be down right about, where's it at? It should be right in here somewhere. There it is. Edit mode, aim assist. So by default this is on, and the reason why I have it off is because with it off I have full control over where I'm putting my edits, or where I'm, you know, moving my crosshair. With it on, I don't, and I'll show you what I mean. Edit mode, aim assist, it was a good idea, it just wasn't tweaked right. It needs a little more work before it can be utilized and be more effective than having it off. So what I mean is, if I am, say, going to do just your standard L edit, so as you can see already, it's, if I put my crosshair like right in the middle, it's gonna just choose one for me. That wasn't me moving it. I'm being like, my hand's off the controller right now. What it does is it pulls your crosshair to the center of the square that your crosshair is closest to, which sounds like a good idea, but the only problem is, to do quick little, like I mean super fast slash edits, every once in a while, say like you're going here, it'll pull you straight to here, and then like as you can see, it just pulled me from here to here to here, which if I had it off and I did that same motion, it wouldn't have done that, which you can play around with it if you'd like. I'm not going to tell you that you can't edit with it on. Some players actually do prefer it. Now if you are going to play with it on, I would suggest having a higher editing sense, which is also going to run you into a little bit more problems because you'll have less control over your edits. Now I do play on my editing sense maxed out, but that's just me, and I worked up to it. I didn't start out on max. I started out on 1, I moved to 3, then to 5, then to 7, then to 2. Because if you just start out on, I mean, if you go from 1 straight to 2, that's going to make your editing sense twice as fast. So if you're used to, you know, editing on a 1 sensitivity and you want to go straight to 2, if you're used to doing, you know, moving your stick, you know, this much on 1, and then you switch to 2, you're going to be like, and you're not gonna be you're not gonna be in a good situation, trust me. If you have too high a sense, you're gonna be all over the place. So work up to it if you want to get to 2. Don't just start out on it. So that's about it for the settings. Now let's get into a little bit of tips. The first one you probably already know. If you don't, it'll really help you out. So to flip a ramp, most people will just do that, right? They go from this square to that square. Now, some of you probably already know, some of you don't, like I said, but you can actually go from here to that block right there, So this block right here with the arrow on it, and that block right there. So if, say I wanted to rotate the ramp to where it was going up that way, I would just grab it, grab that block first, and then drag to here. Cuts about half the distance off, so essentially once you get it down, you can be twice as quick. The next edit that we can talk about, say you have a floor and a pyramid, and you're trying to edit through both of them, but for whatever reason this edit doesn't go through, and you're up here. Now what most people will do is they'll back up and hit that, but actually that's the slower way to do it. There's a better way. So when you're grabbing it and you're up here, I'm spamming my select button. I can't do it because I'm halfway through it. You can just actually look down. Well, I don't think I'm high enough, but if you're up here and you look down, you can edit. It's a lot quicker. I'll show you like in full speed. It's a lot quicker than doing this right here. Now it is going to take a little bit of getting used to if you're kind of in the habit of, you know, right here, oh I messed up, let me back up. It'll take a little bit of getting used to. What I would suggest doing is just running up, doing this, purposely putting yourself right here, and just practice that, you know, and then reset it. But don't do like me every time and reset the floor first. For some reason I cannot get it in my mind. Reset pyramid then floor. I don't know. Anyways, just do this over and over again. Alright. The other one is actually in the same situation. If you're at the right angle and you're right up against, you can't go any farther, my thumbstick is literally pushed forward, you can actually edit the cone first, which will basically never put you in this situation right here. It takes a little bit of practice. You want to be at about this angle right here, so almost looking straight forward, and you want to make sure that when you're up against the floor, you're still moving forward. If you're not moving forward, so like right here I'm not moving forward, I'm gonna hit the floor first. Now I don't know if this is a bug or not. They might be changing it. So if they do and it doesn't work for you, then you're just gonna have to do it the old-fashioned way. But for now, I would utilize this right here because it's actually a lot quicker. Well, actually, I don't know if it's any quicker, but it's safer. You never run into the chance that you're gonna be in this situation right here. Now let's talk about that positioning thing I said earlier. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put myself right here, and I'm gonna kind of go slow. Alright, so right there I messed up, right? And let me explain why. My muscle memory is used to doing this motion right here, or this motion. So from here to here, from here to here, from here to here. And what I did was I was a little bit too far in, so when I went down, I grabbed right about here, and then I went over. And that's not going to do the edit. So you want to make sure you're standing in the right spot. Now, you're not always going to be able to get in the right position, so you want to practice awkward edits, like push yourself up against the cone or the ramp, you know, edit it, and then as you edit it, as you can tell, you're going to be underneath it, so you want to jump. Oh, I messed up. Actually, I don't know if that's possible. I don't think you can physically. Well, you can do it like that, but you wanna just practice it. Put yourself in positions where you're not comfortable. So if you ever are in that situation in the game, you at least have a little bit of practice in it. You know what I mean? See right there, I was too far up. I didn't get the edit through. Right there, I just choked it. I choked that one too, but you get the idea. Alright, so that's kind of basically it for this this little quick tutorial trick. Actually, I would like to go over a couple of things with you guys on if you're fighting a player. So we have these little targets in here. Actually, I'm not going to use the targets, they're annoying. We'll just pretend like there's a guy out here. So going for these edits right here, where you open up a window and you're literally standing right in front of the window, that's a death sentence. And a lot of players that are new into editing, they can get away with it on certain players, like some of the less sweaty players, basically. Some of the newer players to the game that aren't prepared for the edits, they can get away with opening up a window and then doing that. Now the problem is, you're right here, right? You open up a window, I still have to draw out my shotgun. If you're the other guy, and say this window is open, well, we can say it's closed right now, but just imagine this guy opens up a window. As soon as that window's open, I can shoot him. But if you're the guy opening the window, you can't shoot until your shotgun's pulled out. So there's a couple ways to get around that. There's really no edit in the game right now that I know of that's going to give you full invulnerability to the the trade, especially if you're fighting a really good player. They are going to expect the edit always, be ready for the edit always, and they'll tag you as soon as you tag them. But there are a couple things that you can do that will at least make it even, if not give you the advantage. So the first thing is, before you edit the window, well, you can edit the window, but before you confirm the edit, make sure you're behind cover. Don't let them have a free shot, you know? So at least then, he has to predict when I'm gonna pop out. Now, on a metal wall, it's pretty easy to tell. You can see right through it. You know where I'm going. So the window edit's not necessarily the best edit. It's a good edit for when they have your back turned. Maybe they have their schematics out. You know, they have their map out, their pickaxe. For whatever reason, they're not exactly paying 100% attention to you. They're not. You can tell they're not prepared for the edit. Maybe they're not even looking at you. And the window edit, of course, because it's the quickest. It's going to get you the shot off quickest. Now, if they're ready for you, a lot of times I don't even edit on people that are standing there looking at me. So what I will do, though, is I'll hit this edit right here, right? And I'll usually jump, because they're less prepared for that. Because most people are like, okay, there's this triangle right here, he's going for the right hand peak, he's going to do this. So what I'll actually do is I'll stand right about here, right where when I jump, my head's just barely peeking over. It takes a little bit of practice to get down right about, you know, where he's gonna be. You wanna like, before you jump, you wanna set up your crosshair so you're not trying to aim midair. So like, say that cone, like the very tip top of the cone is a guy. So I know when I jump, that's about right. So I hit the very top of the cone. Now he probably would have tagged me right there if he was a decent player and he had good reaction time. But it wouldn't have been for full damage, because I mean I'm moving up and down as opposed to like this. Another edit that's really, really good is if you're right here, instead of moving over, you can actually move back. And you can reset it pretty quick like that also. And it's a little bit different angle. So right here, I'm moving over, and it's actually pretty slow. Like, I mean, somewhat fast, especially if you're real good at the, you know, the ENAS or whatever you want to call it. But when you're doing this, well, I didn't scoot back far enough, but I mean, it is, it's a lot less of your body being shown. So even if he's like over on this side and you have the right hand peek, you can just I would always recommend, you know, the backtrack as opposed to the move over. Also, it's gonna get some getting used to, you know, you want to drill that in your head even while you're in fights. You know, think, okay, I'm gonna open up this window, I'm behind cover. And you always want to be thinking, don't do what your instincts are. You know, you always got to be thinking, what did I learn? And like, before you jump into a game, you got to tell yourself what you're going to work on that game, because you can't just jump into a game and be like, all right, I'm going to work on everything I learned in this video. I would work on one thing at a time, because otherwise you're going to get overwhelmed, you're going to forget things. Just work on one thing at a time. Alright, hopefully you guys learned something from this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.